Just wanted to share my print and build of a Mandalorian helmet from Rob Palza on My Mini Factory. Took 154 hours to print in 50 minutes. I use Simplify 3D to add supports. I haven't found a better slicer yet that allows such easy removal of the supports. And you can just see how simple it is to remove them. Just wanted to show the model geometry that actually was picked up in the print. You can see the facets all over the helmet, which is no problem. I think using arc welder in the future might eliminate a lot of these facets all over the helmet. Didn't use any center supports, makes it so much quicker to print. This is my second helmet, so I'm printing it for a buddy. I think my other one took almost 4 or 5 days to finish, and mainly that was because of the supports in the middle. Such a waste. I'm just using a little pneumatic sander here to smooth out every little facet on the model or on the print. I just kept going with 120 grit until I couldn't see any more shiny black. I used PLA on this, of course. Usually I'm using ABS on everything so I can vapor smooth it, but PLA's real forgiving. Don't need a heated enclosure, so went with that this time. Sanded it up, blew it off. This is after the first application of Mando spot glazing putty. I'll leave a link. Basically, you just want to get it in the areas, and you want to do a smooth coat so you don't have much sanding to do. Just enough to fill in the layer lines. So 90% of this video will be me just sanding this thing down. Lots of primer and top coats. So again, I'm just sanding down the glazing putty, making sure everything looks good. This is probably the second coat of glazing putty. I have a little Bondo spreader that I cut real narrow strips out of, and it makes it easy to get that smooth coat on there. Some places you have to use your finger to squeeze it down into the deeper grooves. I'd probably recommend using a glove, but you know, YOLO. Use some Gorilla Glue to attach the vent in the back of the helmet. There it is. This worked really good. I later switched to acrylic super glue with an activator that makes it so much easier and quicker. I'm doing a real light coat with the Gorilla Glue. This stuff loves to expand and foam up everywhere. So you can see why I did a light coat. It just fell out as well. But the stuff continues to expand if you get too much on it. Just put some tape in there to secure it so it won't slide or move. And then I'm placing a little weight on there just to keep it down. So here I'm using the CA acrylic glue, just spraying it on, or dripping it on. So I actually spray the activator directly on the helmet, so when they touch, they'll immediately solidify. had to slide the little earpiece up into the top earpiece, if that makes any sense. This is the Rust-Oleum primer, sandable primer. I would make sure it's sandable. It seems to go on a little thicker, and when you sand it, it just comes off real easy. It doesn't clog your sandpaper too bad, but it does clog a little bit, especially if you don't let it dry long enough. Make sure I got the bottom angles and top angles. Here I'm using 320 grit sandpaper just to smooth out the roughness of the primer. Trying not to go all the way down to the plastic, of course. This is just mainly to smooth it and get rid of some of the layer lines and the glazing spot putty lines. The little vent had some little pieces of plastic still stuck in there, so just had to scrape those out with a little file. Sanding that thing is really hard. The earpieces on this second helmet was much smoother. I used a lot more glazing putty to smooth them out, get the layer lines out. On mine, I didn't do it so much, the first one.
That's the helmet you see in the beginning of the video.
So this is the second primer coat. Again, a good light coat. So I didn't capture the first spray paint top coat, but I do it 3 more times, so I'll show you the paint here. Here I'm just wet sanding everything, trying to get out any little pieces of fuzz or any runs that I had from the top coat. This is a good top coat paint. It's very thick, it's very sticky. Dries pretty good without runs, but if you put too much, of course, it'll drip. It's a Rust-Oleum Farm and Implement Gloss Black. Again, a lot of wet sanding, and you can see how rough it is there, so it's going to take a couple more coats of black to get it really glass smooth. And the wet sanding's not polishing or shining up the black at all, it's just getting out the imperfections. It's really rough on this back side. Again, like I said, this video is mainly just me sanding. So here I'm just cleaning it up with some actually just Dawn and water, but Windex works fine. You know, try to use a paper towel that won't have any lint. This is actual painting tack cloth, just using it to get off any paper towel lint. Just found something laying around the garage to sit it up on so I could rotate it and paint it easily. Blowing it off with some air, and there's the paint. I'll leave a link. When you do this top coat, you want to make sure that any kind of fuzziness is gone, so you have to keep spraying to make that fuzzy line disappear, and you can sort of see it in the video. It's hard to explain with words, but you gotta follow that line until it looks completely wet. And you don't want to go all over in different areas. You kind of want to just back and forth, follow that fuzzy line until it turns black all the way over the helmet. Cleaned it, wet sanded again. There were some drips on this side. Pain in the butt. Had to go down really far to get rid of that one. cleaned it off, getting it ready to spray again. I think this will be my third top coat. Again, drying it off, blowing off any lint. Drop cloth, or not drop cloth, tack clothing it, making sure there's nothing that I can't see stuck to it. So, yep, just shaking it up. Third coat. So, this is the fourth coat of black. This might help somebody watching, maybe give them some visual points on spray painting. Maybe not. So after 3 coats, you can sort of see the reflection. There's a little FLA bumpiness. There's the little drip, the last drip. And after 3 top coats and sanding 3 times, I was like, sorry buddy, this is how it's going to be. This is the graphite powder that you use to make it shiny, which is magic. I learned this from Punish Props Academy. They have great videos on cosplay and 3D printing. Just used a cotton ball with the graphite powder. This is ultra fine graphite. It's not like the stuff you can get in a hardware store. And you rub it on and you basically just polish it until it's really bright, silvery, and shiny. I've tried other colors, whites, grays, to see if I can get a different shine, but they're not really that different. You'll see me sometimes dabbing the cotton ball. That just helps knock off some of the trapped graphite powder in the cotton, so it'll cover the helmet. And you can see the shine really coming out there. The lighting in my basement's not the greatest, so makes it a little hard to see sometimes the actual shine. But really you just keep dabbing it and circular motion around, kind of like you're polishing. Punish Props, they put a clear coat over top of the graphite, which kind of dulls it down. I leave it just plain graphite, so when you do touch it with your fingers, it makes a greasy spot or a darker spot. I guess it would be good for weathering, but if you can keep your hands off of it, of course, it looks great. And to get rid of those greasy spots, you can just use the cotton ball again and it'll come right off, or sometimes you can just use a clean cloth to polish it and it'll remove the greasy fingerprints. And I've tried not to get into every, little spot, kind of give it that weathered look, leave some of the black around the edges. Here you can see the earpiece is pretty flat, that little triangular part at the bottom. My first one, you can see all the layer lines in it. But spot glazing putty, that's the secret weapon on 3D prints. it's kind of therapeutic just to see the shine come out. It's, again, it's magic to me. Yeah, and I can't recommend enough wearing gloves with graphite. It's just like, you know, it is pencil lead. And it gets everywhere. Not the easiest to get off, but it does come off. So there's the finished part. You can really see the reflection when the camera moves around, which is nice. Yep. This was included with the 3D model. It's the visor cutout that fits inside the helmet perfectly. I just bought one of the protective shields. Again, I'll link it. Just kind of taped it up, and then I tried heating them up, trying to mold it to the actual curve of the visor, but it really doesn't need it at all. Just trace out your visor. You could probably do it in paper. It'd be a lot easier than what I'm doing here. Trace it out and cut it. I had some real sharp pruning shears made by Visor. Made it real easy to cut through this. And just using a silver Sharpie there to mark the outline. Just remove everything. There's your outline. Again, be a lot easier if you had a piece of paper and just laid it flat on there. I like doing things the hard way. I'm sure a good stiff pair, good quality scissors would cut through this just fine. Or if you have a bandsaw. Didn't worry about cleaning up the silver Sharpie. Just wanted to get the cut marks or the edges real smooth. The stuff is not good smelling when it's sanded and it burns. This is just a deburring tool. Great if you use, I don't know, if you cut a lot of metal items and you need to get the sharp edges off. It works for this plastic, so glad I had it. Just using Gorilla Glue, glue sticks here. No different from many others, really. Just hot gluing it in. Didn't care how this looked. Nobody's really going to see inside the helmet, of course. And there's the finished product.